Hello, I'm here today with Duncan Penny, CEO of XP Power. Duncan, welcome.
Hi, Harriet.
Now, XP develops and manufactures power converters. Could you just explain to me what a power converter is?
Sure, yeah, that's a really good place to start because we have a lot of issues getting our investors to actually understand the product. So I have one with me today, and this is a typical power converter. Any piece of electronic equipment needs one of these to operate. It can't operate from the electricity that comes out of the wall socket, which is a high voltage AC power source going plus minus. The equipment needs stable low voltage DC. So this will take the wall socket mains and convert it into the stable DC voltage that the equipment needs. But it also does a number of other important functions. It stops noise getting into the customer's equipment, which may interfere with it. And it also stops noise that the customer's equipment may generate getting back into the mains. And then finally, it's also a safety critical component of the end equipment because if you put your hands on this side of the power converter, it could potentially kill you. On this side, it's safe. So it's a safety barrier shielding the end user of the equipment from the potentially lethal mains. So that's basically what our product does.
So that's the product.
Yeah.
What's your market?
Okay, well, as I said, any piece of electronic equipment needs one of these, but we actually service really people who are interested in critical systems. So we power the world's critical systems, as we say, which would include medical equipment, high-end industrial equipment, and a sector we would call technology. And so any piece of medical equipment, we deal with most of the key medical manufacturers in the world, most of the high-end industrial equipment manufacturers. And also in technology, we're dealing with things like semiconductor manufacturing equipment, broadcast equipment, high-end IT equipment, things like that.
Duncan, can you tell me a bit about your business model that allows you to generate such high operating margins?
Certainly, yeah. I think to understand that, you first have to sort of understand a bit about the sales process. So if we take an example of a typical customer, maybe they're in the medical industry making perhaps a drug delivery device or something like that, they will come to somebody like us to help them design the power supply in. And we will take them, they will give us a specification, which might be a number of volts and amps at different permutations and combinations, certain signals, certain safety agency requirements they might have, a form factor and other characteristics. So we will do a lot of engineering support to help them with that designing process. They will then go away for usually quite some time to actually do their evaluation of the product in its entirety, hopefully powered by our power converter. And then if they're happy with that, they'll then take their entire equipment to the relevant safety agency. They will get it safety agency approved. And that's the nice thing is because our part is a safety critical part, we will be listed on the bill of materials in the safety agency file. So then if the customer's successful in their market, if they sell 10,000 of their products, we will send them 10,000 power supplies. And we're actually married, if you like, at that stage. So we get this nice revenue annuity over the lifetime of the product. So all the work's done up front, but we're really married to each other once the design is finished.
Now, in recent years, you've placed significant emphasis on developing high efficiency green products.
Yeah.
How well have they been received in the market?
They have been received well, and this is an interesting area because there's lots of interest in environmental issues and energy efficiency, and there's lots of legislation in consumer electronics and in office equipment for our type of products, but we're not active there. We're active in medical, industrial and things like that. So there is not so much legislation in that regard, but our customers are interested in this. But the interesting thing for us is we've probably got the broadest range of high efficiency products in our industry. And the customers are very interested in that, interestingly, not because of the high efficiency per se, but because they're inherently more reliable because of the way they run. They waste less heat, less energy, and heat is a killer of systems. And it makes the power supply much more reliable if it's high efficient, because we get rid of the heat by blowing it out with a fan. So if we get it so efficient that it doesn't need the fan, then we've removed the most unreliable part of the system. And also the power supply isn't producing lots of heat, which actually is interfering with the customer's equipment. So our customers really like it because it's much more reliable. It's quite difficult to sell them, unfortunately, the benefit that the equipment's going to consume less electricity, but they are interested in the reliability, particularly in medical and comms and areas like that. We've found that those customers have been taking those products with a lot of enthusiasm.
Now, the company is highly cash generative and your debt has fallen significantly over the last few years.
Yeah.
How do you intend to deploy that cash moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, with having relatively high margins and low capital requirements, the business has always been quite cash generative. And So we've always had a pretty progressive dividend policy. We're fairly unusual. We pay quarterly dividends, and the yield has been very, very good on the stock. And I don't think we've dropped the dividend since we IPO'd in 2000. The dividend's always gone up every year. So, and we'll continue to do that. And I think in our early history, we were doing quite a lot of acquisitions to build our sales footprint around the world. And I think being debt-free sometime next year, I think we'll look again at looking some small bolt-on acquisitions, which will allow us to, increase the size of our addressable market and use the cash in that manner.
Well, all the very best with that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. If you'd like any more information, please do visit the Edison website.